Okay, so now I'm talking about the consumer price index using a numerical example. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to show you a very simple hypothetical example of how you would come up with the consumer price index. I've created a little hypothetical scenario based on like 5 different goods, I believe. There's like beer and I think textbooks and stuff that students normally buy. And then I'm also going to show a second PowerPoint slide that basically shows you how to compute the actual price index. There's a couple of things I want to say before I show you the pictures. Then I'm going to show you the pictures, then I'm going to talk about what they mean, just to make sure you grasp what they're trying to say. The important tricks to all of this is that we look at the same basket of goods, okay, across the years. So what I do is I have decided to declare the year 2007 as the base year. Okay, this is the year that will eventually get the price index of 100. And then what we do is we then collect data for 2008 and compare the 2008 total expenditures to buy that basket of goods to the 2007 expenditures on that same basket of goods. What that means is we're looking at the same items, so it's the same beer, and it's the same textbooks, and it's the same cell phone charges and so on. So it's the same categories. And we also keep the quantity that you consume the same as well. Right, so you drink the same amount of beer in 2007 as in 2008. You buy the same number of textbooks in 2007 as you do in 2008, and so on. Okay, so in other words, when you look at this, the first graph, I've highlighted this in pink, and you'll notice that the pink section in 2007, the quantity section, is the same in both 2007 and 2008. The only thing that changes between the 2 years is the green section, which I've highlighted in green. And this corresponds to the unit price. Okay, so for instance, with my example with beer, right, I'm treating a case of 24 as 1 unit. Okay, so what I'm talking about is the price of 1 case. And same thing with textbooks. They're on a per book basis. That's the unit. So the price then is the price per book, and so on. I think I've made that quite explicit. Is we're changing the unit price, the price per whatever unit we're measuring the consumer products in. And what, of course, I also highlighted in the first PowerPoint picture in yellow is the total expenditure over the course of a month in 2007, and then at the bottom is the total expenditure of for the same basket of goods over a course of a month in 2008. And that change in total expenditure is what we're going to focus on. That's what the second PowerPoint clip looks at, is basically how do we calculate a percentage change between the new higher total monthly expenditure 2008 versus the one in 2007. So what you're going to now see is 2 slides. The first one is the CPI, is the sort of setup with the different products, their unit prices, and the total expenditure. And then the second slide is pertaining to the computation of this price index, in which 100 is the base year. So in this case it would be 2007. That's just an arbitrary decision. That's sort of a rule, a convention, if you like. The base year always gets set to 100. And then of course all the other years will more than likely have a number that's bigger than 100. Doesn't have to be, it can be less, but generally speaking it's more than 100. Okay, so now the slides. Okay, so now that you've looked at the two charts, I just want to sort of go over what does it mean. So basically, if you look at the first chart, you'll notice that the quantity of consumption per month, the pink parts, never change. So in both months of 2007 and in months in 2008, you are still always consuming 10 cases of beer per month. So you're drinking a lot of beer, apparently. I just want to get the numbers up, so there you go. And same thing with textbooks. This is saying that every month in 2007 or every month in 2008, you consume, buy, if you like, 3 textbooks. Okay, so all the computations for the monthly expenditure, all that's going on there is I take the unit price. So if you take, for instance, beer in 2007, which is the first row in the top chart, it's $42 per case. Okay, so each case 24, I'm saying, is pretend it's $42. You buy 10 cases per month, that's the quantity, so your monthly expenditure is $420. And similarly, if the unit price of textbooks is $120 per book, and you buy 3 per month, then you're spending $360 per month, and so on and so on and so on. And it's the same thing for all the goods. And this gives us our total expenditure at the bottom, which is in yellow. And then basically the 2008 graph is pretty much just a cut and paste in Excel of what happened in 2007. The only thing that I changed was the prices, which I highlighted in green. Okay, those are the unit prices. And generally speaking, as you'll see, the prices went up. I increased the price of beer and the price of textbooks, and also the price of food. But notice that the price of cell phones and also the cover charges for getting into bars and so on has gone down slightly. So not every price has to go up, but the majority of them have. And as such, we see that the total expenditure per month has gone from $1,155 to $1,287 from 2007 to 2008. And so basically what the other chart is showing you is that ultimately the inflation rate is effectively the percentage change from the base year. Okay, by convention, the base year 2007 gets a value of 100. That's just declared. And as you can see, it's just a simple matter of creating a ratio. Right? That's at the bottom of the second graph. You take the total expenditure 2008, and that's the numerator, and then the denominator, the number on the bottom, is the base year amount, 1,155. You set that equal to another fraction. Okay, now because by convention, 2007, which is always on the bottom. See, the way this is set up is 2008 is always on the top of all these fractions, and 2007 is always on the bottom of all these fractions. Right, so we stick the 100 on the bottom, and we stick an x in the numerator, saying because we don't know what the corresponding value is. And then we just solve for x, which is basically just going to be 100 times 1287 divided by 1,155, and that should give you 11143. So let's get out my calculator. Let's see if it's right. So 1287 times 100 divided by 1155, and you get 111.4285714. Okay, and so that's pretty obvious that if you go from 100 to 111.43, you have an inflation rate of 11.43%, and that's just how it's computed. So that basically concludes my basic simplified explanation of how a consumer price index is calculated, and then out of that we can see the inflation rate, the 11.43%.